Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
God, you're out there, I can hear you breathing. Let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
That's better. Now, we are very, very lucky. I was poking around in a second-hand bookstore and I happened to come across an original Russian language first edition copy of one of the late 19th century Russian poets and authors and his guide on how to do presentations. So what I'd like to do is invite you to come with me and go into his dark, dangerous and dramatic world of Ivana Spout-Off-A-Lot. Got one laugh anyway. Now seriously, this is going to be a bit of an interactive session, so when I ask questions, try not to get too many tumbleweeds, shout things out. What I'm going to do is take you through the 5 Ps. So, preceding your preparation, the preview, the presenting, and then some pensiveness, and all of that will have some pointers to ponder, also known as top tips. So, let's move on to the first one. Prior to the preparation. So, this is where we come to you. What is the most important thing about any speech?
Beginning.
Almost.
The objective, the audience.
There you go. Tom had it at the back. It's the audience. If you don't know who you're speaking to, you could be wasting your time. Let's think about some different subjects. We could be talking about artificial intelligence. Now, would that be a slightly different speech if you were giving it to a Rotary Club, or to some preschoolers, or to your team who are involved in artificial intelligence down at the Google campus? You've got to know who your audience is before you even begin. So what's the second most important thing about any speech?
Preparation.
Before that? No.
Delivery.
No.
Objective.
Almost. That's almost it. The most important thing is, I do lots of talking. What do I want you lot to do afterwards?
Follow up.
Yeah, so what's the call to action? Is it, I want you to donate to this charity, I want you to go to this website, I want you to cut meat out of your diary, whatever it is, I've got to know what I'm trying to get you to do. Without those two, you are wasting your time. Those are the 2 things you have to do before you start doing any preparation. So let's move on to item number 2, which is preparation. Now I'm going to take as an example one of the speeches I did a little while ago. In this one, the objective was to research and present a 7-minute speech on a subject you have no idea about. I did the very brave thing, went into Google and typed random word, closed my eyes and pressed the button to come up with the word owls. Okay, owls, that's fair enough. So I started doing some research. Owls are brilliant. They are amazing. There's so much stuff about them. Do you know their eyes aren't round like ours? They're cone-shaped and they can't move them in their head, which is why their heads go round. And they've got special valves in the back of their head, so when they twist, if you did that, you'd faint because there's no blood supply. They have special sacs. And their ears, you see those tufted, they're not in their ears. The ears are down here, but they're different heights. And there's tons of stuff about owls. And I was writing it all out, and I was going, this is awesome. And I thought, that's not going to work for 7 minutes. So I did the first very quick run through, and it was 22 minutes. So then you have to start getting the red pen out and start going through what it is that you're going to go through. Now, once I've done that first bit of research, I like to put it down. And the reason being is I like to let the grey matter at the back get to work on it. You know, you do a crossword and you go, I just don't know what that is. And then you go to bed and you wake up at 3 in the morning and go, Chamberlain! Yes. So you let your brain think about it and keep on coming back to it and worrying the subject. So, what would be the best way to introduce this? What's the right order? Let's try some words. Do these words sound right? Does this flow? Has that got the right impact? And you can start working through your script. You can also start thinking about, is this going to be appropriate to have visual aids, or Is it going to be a question and answer session? How long have I actually got? And you've got to start thinking about that. The other thing you can do, nearly every club will have a mentor or coaching session in place. Go and have a word with your mentor and coach. Ask them, I've got this, and these are my ideas. What do you think? What's the best bit? What's the worst bit? What can I do to improve? When you actually start getting into your speech, one of the bits I love is called signposting. It's also known as the 3 tells. So the 3 tells are, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. So I've already done this evening. So when I first started off, I said there's going to be 5 P's. There's prior to preparation, rattled through those. And now I'm actually into telling you the detail. This is the actual tell. And then when we get to the end of the session, I'll just go through. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we did, just to remind you in case any of you dropped off. Now it's unlikely in a little 5 or 7 minute speech, but it just helps to bring people back in. And if you're doing an all-day seminar, people have forgotten what the first section was by the time you get to the end. They go, oh yeah, I remember that bit. I remember that bit. Next up, this is where we go back to you. What are the most important words you say in any speech? Come on, you're out there, I can hear you breathing. Which words are the most important words you say?
We.
Yeah, whereabouts in the speech? First. Tom again, house point for Tom. The first words you say are the most important words. So the reason being is if you hook your audience right from the beginning, they'll stay for the story. If you've bored them before you've even started, they're going to be switched off. It's going to be a real uphill struggle to get them back. Now I battle with quite a few of the traditional Toastmasterizers in the area because they think you should come up and go, fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, and most welcome. Go, oh, God, I'm bored and they haven't even started speaking yet. So think about the impact you are doing. So some of the ways you can really get people involved are to use rhetorical questions. So have you ever been? Have you ever? Have you ever? It works really well. In Toastmasters, you might have heard of the power of 3. So try and get things in 3s. Why 3s? I don't really know. But it works a treat. I'll give you a little example. I just had a cake. It was lovely and sweet. Do you know what? It almost sounded like there was something missing there. You go, and what's the other thing? It was lovely, sweet, and it filled me up. Okay. So I just had a cake. It was lovely, sweet, strawberry, and it filled me. No, that's too much. It's too much. 3s work. They work brilliantly. Everything you can get into 3s. The great thing is most 5 to 7 minute speeches, that allows you to get 3 little bits of information in there, which is perfect. So let's come back to my start. Why did I do all this rubbish about I found a Russian author when it's the Swiss Family Robinson book that I just dragged off the shelf? Why did I do all of that?
To give us a laugh.
To give you a laugh, to get you intrigued, to get you, well, what's this guy? He's actually gone out and found a Russian language. No, it's just to keep you involved. But let's give you some examples of other ways you can build intrigue into a speech. So one of our Toastmasters at my group down at Epsom, she was doing one of her, I think it was her first or second speech, and it was going to be about her time in South Africa. And she started off with, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Tonight I would like to tell you about my time as a child in South Africa. It was sort of like, it's okay, Nicole, but it doesn't really grab me. When we looked into the detail, I said what we can do is do it as 3s, and we do it as something called ascending drama. So you build on each point. So she came up. She stood quietly for a minute, just to build the tension. And in a very quiet voice. Have you ever been scared? Have you ever been scared as a small child? Have you ever been so scared as a small child, you thought you were going to see your parents ripped away from you and you were going to be dead as well? That happened to me in 1975 in the summer in Johannesburg. Now I've got you on the hook. I can see you're already going to, never mind that stuff about presentation, tell me about Nicole. It's the way you build it up. My other half, she does a lot of stuff with sixth forms. And she had been set up with the local council and they were going to do something like the Dragon's Den. And she come to me with a speech. Dave, I'm not very happy with this speech. I said, what have you got so far, babe? So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Edwina, and I'm part of the Sixth Form Advisory Council, and we have gathered together some of the local businesses. Yeah. Oh, geez. I think we can do better than that, hun. So I said, well, let's do the ascending drama again. Would you like the dragons to listen to you? Would you like the dragons to work with you? Would you like the dragons to eat out of your hand? We can show you how to do that. They're in. They go, yeah, we need this. So it's all to do with how you get that first opening. Next up, when does your speech actually start? This is your bit again. So when does your speech actually start? When does your presentation start? Okay, as soon as you open mouth. Any others? As soon as you walk on the stage. Any more? Any going further back in time than that?
Introduction of your speech.
Introduction of the speech, and even further back.
Your speech title.
Excellent. Good. So all of those things build up. So first of all, you've got to think about, well, what do you want as the title? So I thought, let's make this a bit fun, because it could have been an educational speech about preparation. No, so I gave you a tongue twister. I try and do it with all of them just to make it intriguing. Or try and give it a title that could be a really nice double entendre to get people thinking about what it might be. Next up, some of you might notice, there's a bloke in a suit. That's quite cool. Next up, how you're introduced. Sometimes, if it's appropriate, you can get your Toastmaster to do the introduction about you, so you haven't got to say those things. Next up, how are you actually getting on stage? So I strode on confidently, I moved this to one side, I looked all around the audience, I'm making sure none of you are on your phones, I want all eyes on me. And then I started. And it was me, but it's me plus 20%. Because I'm presenting, I've got to get your attention. And I have got the Wonder Woman pose. So I am building power into this. It helps you be grounded. So what could be different? So I'm just going to have to slip off my microphone for a moment. Let's try a slightly different opening. If anyone's got the stripper music, that would be appreciated.
Turn the,
No, keep it going. So let's try a slightly different opening to this. Hey, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, tonight I have got a rather dry subject, which is preparing to prepare for a speech. Tonight I will run through all the stages that I recommend for giving a really good... So what was wrong with that? Where did I go wrong? Shout it out.
everywhere.
Everywhere. There's a short one. It's how you're dressed. So what gave more impact? Wearing a shirt and tie or a scruffy old t-shirt? How did I shuffle on? Where was the energy? God, if I'm bored, what am I going to do with the audience? Next up, don't give them a clue. You're boring. Let them work it out for yourself. Never tell them you're dull. It never works out. So there we go. There's the bones for it. Next up is the preview. This is where you start to practice. This is your best friend. What you do is you put it down in front of you, you go into camera, turn it to video, and you record yourself. And for one thing, it will tell you how you're doing for your time, sort of like 22 minutes, or that's 3 minutes, that's dreadful. What then happens is you watch it back. But you don't watch it back one time, because this is Toastmasters, you do it 3 times. The first time, no sound. So what am I doing up on stage? Am I waving my arms around? Am I picking my nose? Am I scratching? Am I looking the wrong way? Have I got shoulders sagging? How am I looking on stage? Can you tell what I'm actually doing without any words? Next up, sound only. Listen to the flow of the words. Does it flow? Am I talking in a monotone? Does it just go on and on? And are there pauses? Pauses are brilliant. Pauses are awesome. You need as many pauses in there as possible. They break up a speech. And best of all, when you forget what you're saying, a pause is mistaken by the audience for the fact that you've got gravitas, which is brilliant. And then finally, watch it all back. And first of all, try and look for the good things. Everyone's got the critic on their shoulder. Oh, that's very good. You're awesome. And look for the good stuff you're doing on here. Pick out the good bits and say, yeah, that's good, I like that. Now that line could be better. Let's think about how we could improve that. Once you've got all that sorted out, it's time to do the presentation. So, let's think about how you can do this. You've got to think about that speech. You've got to get the title over to your Toastmaster. Once your club's up and running, you will have an evaluator. Go into your, I've forgotten what it's called, pathways, and there will be an evaluation resource. It's your job as the speaker to get that to your evaluator and to tell them what you're looking for. So one of my problems at the moment is the word so. And I keep saying the word so, and everyone's got them. They're called discourse markers, and they creep in everywhere. So you've got to get rid of them. But it's like playing whack-a-mole. As soon as I get rid of so, I'll have right or okay. But ask them to look out for stuff like that. Are you coming up with these words? When you're actually doing your presenting, I've already gone through this. How do you stand? Do you move around the stage? Is there some action going on? How are your gestures? Are your gestures too small? Do they come out the right size? When you're actually doing the characters, are you actually going into the character of the small child? And the angry father looking down on the child in disdain. All these things can add to the drama of what you are saying. Is it going to be one of those damn things where you've got to have the visual aids? You've got that PowerPoint thing. Oh, we've all sat through death by PowerPoint. So what's the idea of PowerPoint? The only idea I can see for PowerPoint is to remind me, as the nutty at the front, what to say next. I believe the maximum thing you should have on any PowerPoint slide is 5 words. The reason being, one or two things is going to happen. If you've got a stack of text, they'll go, read that, oh God, is he still talking? Or they'll be going, what the hell does that say? And they won't be listening to a word you're saying either way. Plus the fact, if that's all you're going to do, just email them a report and save everyone's time. The focus of attention is you're the messenger, get the message across. These things should be in support. Get them to make a point. So a nice big pie chart, a graph, a pretty picture, something like that will do a treat. But this is technology. Guess what? It goes wrong. So make sure whatever you do, you have got plan B ready to go. And that's the one you stand on your hind legs and you just talk. So it could be one of those speeches where you do question and answers. Now, what's the worst thing that can possibly happen when you go, and that concludes everything I know about public speaking. Have you got any questions? And all you hear is, and you notice a tumbleweed go behind you. So what you do is you stop that happening. You seed the audience or plant some questions in there. And best of all, those questions are the ones that you want. Dave, can you tell me why it's so important to? Do you know what? I already know the answer to that one because I told him to say that. And it makes life so much easier. So there you go. You're there, you've said your speech. What happens when the audience have finished clapping? Yeah! No, sorry, you don't need to clap. Oh, well, go on then if you want to. But what happens when they finish clapping? Everyone just is off. They can't wait to get out of that spotlight. But you know what? You worked hard for that applause. So stand there, nod at the audience, accept it, and when they finished applauding, just give a little bow, hand over to the Toastmaster, and walk off stage. I'm not sure if I covered that at the beginning. I sort of implied it as well. One of my pet peeves is where people just sort of amble on and they start talking before they've even come to a halt. People are still playing with phones, blowing their nose, whatever. It happens, it really does. You want to be up here, you're the focus of attention, make sure everyone is looking at you before you start. Other top tips, eye contact. So it's really difficult to make contact with all the audience. One of the things that happens to a lot of Toastmasters is they lighthouse. So they sit here and they just go and it looks really weird. Or they'll just pick someone in the audience and they'll just look at them until you're both feeling really awkward. So here's what I believe is the best way to do it. What you do is pick someone's shoulder and you stare at their shoulder, so you're not intimidating them, you haven't got to make eye contact, it won't put you off, and then you do a W. So you look at the next person's shoulder, and you look at their shoulder, and you hold it for about 5 or 10 seconds. As far as you're concerned, from there, I'm looking at your eyes, but I'm not, I'm looking at your shoulder. And I'll look at your shoulder, and I'll look at your shoulder. And especially when you get round the back, as far as people are concerned, you're looking at them. And it looks quite natural. As weird as it sounds, it works a treat. And it really gets the interaction. And finally, the pensive bit. I'm not good at looking at things once I've done it, because I tend to move on. But I do believe that once you've done a speech, and you've sat down, and you've calmed down, well, how did that go? How did it feel? What things went really well? Because I can prepare this all I like in front of my video, but I don't know whether you're going to laugh, or cry, or smile, or look at your watch, or get the phone out, or whatever. It's only when I'm up here and I see your reactions, I know whether I've done the job. Did I make you laugh or make you cry? Did I make you look interested? It's only at this point that I will actually know. And do you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think that's pretty much all I know about public speaking.